Hey YouTube, it's me Nikki, and yeah, I did a quick look for you guys featuring one of my favorite sleek makeup palettes, and this is the super beautiful Vintage Romance palette. Pardon my little crimps here. My hair was wet when I put my hair up in these like little clip things to keep them out of the way, and I feel kind of glamorous. No, I'm just kidding. Anywho, we're not here to see my hair though, so it doesn't matter. But this palette is beautiful, and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys just how gorgeous this guy is. Look at this. Like, look at it in all its glory. Isn't it just beautiful? This is perfect for fall, especially for those of you who really enjoy, like, cranberry colors and just plums and violet and just sparkles. Some gold and silver. Yeah, gold and silver. You know, why not? And like the matte color in here is actually, yeah, there's like one that's matte, and that matte shade is a very beautiful like contour shade. I love it. I put it in my crease quite often. Every look I've done with this palette, I've used that color specifically. So definitely fun. Yeah, so anywho, we're gonna go ahead and get on to the tutorial so you guys can see how I got this look. Okay, so this is gonna be the third time I'm trying to film this. I went ahead and I've already primed my eyes, or at least my eyelid, the singular one that's not done, of course. And because I had to start over, I went ahead and wiped off some of the like foundation underneath my eyes. That's okay, I can fix it later. So I am actually using the Sleek makeup palette here in Vintage Romance, which is phenomenal. Alright, let's just look at this glorious palette here. It's beautiful. Now, I love, love, love Sleek's formula. The one thing I would suggest doing if you are new to Sleek, or if you have a palette of theirs with like glittery eyeshadow, try to use it wet. I find that there's a ton less fallout. It just goes on a little bit better. My personal opinion. Again, it's a preference, but I find it's easier to control for me to do that. Now, the first color I'm going to use is going to be this nice, warm, like matte brown shade, and it's going to be a crease color. I am grabbing a ton of this color, like a lot of pigment, because I kind of need it to be pretty strong. So I'm going to go ahead and apply my card here, and I'm using a card just because it's convenient, you know, whatevs. To each their own. Everybody's got a thing. And I'm going to make sure it's like even here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just apply that to the crease. Again, as you guys can see, I put a ton of pigment on here because I need that to be blendable, and it's going to help with another shade that I will be using. So I'm putting it in my crease. I'm going a little bit below my crease as well with this color. I'm basically going to do a cut crease with it, but more of like a reverse cut crease, and I'll show you guys when we get closer to that step. So there's that. The next thing is actually what I was just talking about. Silly me. I'm going to go ahead and take a flat eyeshadow brush here, and it's nothing fancy, just a flat shadow brush. I'm going to use the e.l.f. Makeup Mist and Set. I will be dampening this brush, and then I'm going to grab this very beautiful glittery shade. I'm going to, like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to go ahead and use it damp because I have a lot more control. So, fan it off for a second. Grab some of that beautiful color. Awesome. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and apply this to my entire eyelid. I'm going to start at the bottom here so I can make sure I'm getting it close to my lash line, of course. But do you guys see how the sparkle actually like stays put? I love that. That just makes me happy. Yeah, so this is like the third time I've tried to film this. I was listening to some Skinny Puppy because, well, you know, I've got like this like edgy side or whatever, and I just like Skinny Puppy and industrial music. I grew up on, like, rock and roll, Nine Inch Nails, stuff like that. So, And by that, I'm not meaning Rob Zombie. I don't like Rob Zombie, like the band Rob Zombie, but I love White Zombie. Now, that's some good stuff. Anyways, we're not here to talk about music, but I'm going to go ahead and just build this up a bit. I'm going to leave a little bit of the inner corner completely bare because I will be applying a silver shadow there. It's going to help kind of go a little bit with the silver sparkle that's in that deep purple sparkly shade. And yeah, I showed you guys a sparkly shade. It's so late. I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, I should not be allowed to do tutorials this late. Just saying. Shh, don't tell nobody. Okay, so the next step is going to be, and I have a specific brush that I will be using for this because it is fluffy. I swear, guys, I would lose my mind if it was not in my skull. Like, what is my problem? I'll just use this one. This will work. Ain't no shame in my game. Yeah, because I have no idea what I did with the other brush. Well, sometimes things just grow legs and walk off. That's okay, though. No big deal. I'm going to be grabbing this shimmery shade here. It looks like it's a deep, kind of like burgundy purple. It ends up turning pink, and it's a very nice, like, rich, like a berry pink. I love it. So it is shimmery, or it has like the chunky glitter in it. I'm going to go ahead and just use it dry because all that glitter is basically just going to disappear. It's not going to stay where it needs to stay. I'm okay with that. For this look, that's completely fine. The main attraction is obviously going to be the lid itself with the deeper shade with the glitter. So I'm going to go ahead and get my card handy. There's a little bit of my hillbilly speak coming out. Alright. And I'm going to go ahead and line my card up here. I'm going to grab some of that pink. Now this is actually really, really pigmented, so I'm going to go very lightly at first with this so I can gauge how much I need. But I'm going to go ahead and put it on my crease everywhere that I applied that brown shade here. Now my lids, most of the time they are hooded. There's a few days, like, just depending, like, I don't know why they change, like, it's kind of weird. But sometimes they don't look hooded at all. Today they do. Most of the time, like 99% of the time they do. Again, there is the pink shade here, and when we blend it out, I'm going to be cleaning it up a little bit as well. It's going to look really, really fabulous. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is take another brush here. It's another fluffy one, but it's more of like a blending fluffy brush. So I'm going to grab this brush here and keep that card handy. I'm going to grab this purple shade right here. It looks like it's almost iridescent. It goes kind of blue-violet. Like, I really, really like that. I feel like it brings a kind of a unique, it just really ties in well, and I'll show you guys why. I'm going to be using the same color basically as an eyeliner underneath my lower lash line. So get your card handy and grab some of that beautiful, like, blue-violet color here. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to clean this up. Ain't no thing. And I'm going to go ahead and just put that on the outer crease. And I'm going to build up a lot of that color, so I live by a busy road, and all these cars, like, late at night just sound kind of scary. Anywho, yeah, so I went ahead and applied a little bit of that there, like so. It's gonna, like I said, add like a really unique, ooh, definitely need to clean that up here. Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and clean that up real quick, just because it looks kind of, I don't know, kind of insane. And I'm trying to like whisper because my boyfriend is sleeping in the next room. We're on opposite shifts, so sometimes I like to stay up a little bit and get kind of crazy with my makeups. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and clean that up. And these e.l.f. makeup wipes are phenomenal. You guys have to have them in your life. See, I mean, look at that. It like totally straightens it up like you wouldn't believe. And my leg's falling asleep. Alright. Now, of course, I'm going to be making the eyeshadow even here in just a little bit. I just had way too much over there. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is wipe off that card. Anytime you use the card or like something as a guide, wipe it off, because these eyeshadows do kind of get a little crazy, and you don't want to like move your card and then like bring it all over your face, because that can happen. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just make sure. I'm just such a perfectionist. I have to get this right real fast. So I'm sorry. Thank you for bearing with me. I'm gonna go ahead and just grab that purple here. Okay, now we're gonna have a little bit more fun. I'm gonna wipe off that brush just a little bit. There's another color in this palette I'm gonna be using on the outer edge, and it's gonna be this really deep purple here. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab that. I hope you guys can see that. Yeah, there you go. You guys are gonna laugh. I'm actually using 2 boxes to put my camera on right now because I broke my tripod. It was a really cheap one from like eBay or something for like $5, and it just decided to die on me, so yay. I'm gonna go ahead and just deepen up that crease a bit. And it just looks so sultry. I don't know, there's just something about it that's just, I like it a lot. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the silver eyeshadow to put on the inner corner of my lid. The silver shadow is right here, and I will be applying that wet, of course, because I want it to be a little bit brighter and more vibrant. So for that, I'm going to take, this is an e.l.f. brush here. It's just like a she brush. I'm sick. I don't want to cough, but well, I'm not really sick anymore, but I was sick, and I'm still just kind of like, kind of wheezy. Anywho, it's a C brush. It's like one of the $1 brushes from e.l.f. So I will be getting the stamp with the e.l.f. Makeup Mist set, of course. Fan it off for a second. And I'm going to grab that silver shade. I crack myself up sometimes. Okay, so as you can see, I've got quite a bit of that product on the end of my brush. I am going to bring that from the inner corner inwards a bit. I'm concentrating most of that like metallic color on the very, very inner corner part here, because I can just wipe it off and then kind of pat some of the excess over a bit, and it just gives it like a nice blended kind of sheen, which I really like. So that way there's like a gradient, which is beautiful. And then I'm going to go ahead and do my highlight. Now for the highlight, I am actually going to use a different palette. I'm just using one shade from the Too Faced Romantic Eye palette here. The shade is called Bouquet Toss, right here. It's a matte, kind of like an ivory cream. So it's really pigmented, which is why I chose it for this, because that pink needs to be toned down just a little bit. Not by a ton, just a smidge. And this is like the perfect shade to do that, so I'm gonna go ahead and blend that white ivory shade into that pink. So as you can see, it's kind of helping take some of the edge away from that pink. So you still get the pink, obviously, but it just looks a little bit more blended and not so 80s, which there's nothing wrong with the 80s, by the way. I was born in the 80s. Shh. So, yeah. Go ahead and just kind of pat that around. And then you have this like sultry, smoky thing going on. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take an Urban Decay eyeliner. This is a 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil in Lust, which I don't know if this one's discontinued or not, but it is beautiful, let me tell you. I will actually swatch it and show you. It's not really purple. It's more of like a violet. I just think it's beautiful, so I will be applying that right underneath my lower lash line. I'm going to bring it all the way over to the inner corner. I feel like I'm going to hiccup. Okay. And the cool thing is, I'm not going to blend it out yet, because there's a shade very similar to this that we've already used in this palette, and it is this shade right here that's kind of like a violet purple color goodness stuff of all things good here. I'm going to use an e.l.f. $1 smudge eye sponge here, and I'm going to grab some of that violet, and I will be patting it directly on top of that liner because they are the exact same shade. It's really going to help keep the liner in place and help like emphasize that really neat like pearly violet color. So there's that so far. Again, I have to clean up the fallout. Not a big deal. And now what I'm going to do is use that card. There it is. Clean it up, of course, because I don't want to transfer anymore. I'll have to clean up the makeup look just for a tad. For the most part, everything looks really good. And then I'm going to be applying this in the spot that we need to get that in. And I'm going to use the Intense Ink eyeliner from e.l.f. because that is like my favorite like eyeliner pen ever. And I'm going to just create a nice little cat eye. Now I'm only bringing it over a little bit because what I'm going to do next, I have a hard time sometimes getting this, like, especially in tutorials, like where I need to get it on the inner corner of my eye because it is kind of chunky. So I'm going to use the e.l.f. Precision Liquid Liner just to kind of get the inner corner area and make it meet up with where we applied that liner. So just put it really, really close to my lash line, like so. Like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and take some e.l.f. makeup wipes and just kind of clean up the excess here and then some of the fallout that's on my face. And then I will fix, obviously, my foundation. So I'm just going to clean it up for a second and then I will show you guys the rest of the face. Okay, so I kind of cleaned things up a bit. I'm going to go ahead and use a black eyeliner just on my waterline. And then, of course, some mascara. So I'm actually going to use something to kind of, just a brush to kind of pop my eyelid down for a second. I'm using the Too Faced Perfect Eyes waterproof eyeliner here. which honestly used to be like my favorite black liner, but I don't know, I bought a second one and I just felt like the formula wasn't the same, so I'm just kind of running low on actual like pencil liners that are black, which I kind of need to buy more because I'm not really sure I like that one as much as I used to. Okay, I really don't like it as much as I used to, and I feel bad saying that. For the mascara, I'm using the e.l.f. Mineral Infused Mascara because that's my jam, and I like it a lot. Okay. Now, for the rest of the face, I used a MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in Porcelain Pink here. And I'm just going to apply a little bit of that as blush. My squeaky chair. Okay, so that way I have a kind of a nice sheen. Okay, I'm good. I promise. I don't sound good though, just because, like, yeah, sickness is no fun. Now, for the contour, I'm actually using an e.l.f. contouring blush and bronzing powder, and this is in Fiji. I really enjoy this matte contour shade here. It's not too dark. Obviously, the eyes are going to be the main attraction, so I wanted to keep my highlight and my contour just a little subtle, not so much bold, just because I don't really want to overdo it. Okay, just carving out my cheeks a bit, and then I'm going to take a complexion brush real fast and just kind of blend all of that together before I apply my highlight. I've already highlighted the other side of my face over here, obviously for the sake of time. And for the highlight, I'm going to go ahead and grab the e.l.f. Baked Highlighter in Moonlight Pearls because it's beautiful. So, I'm going to grab some of that with the e.l.f. Small Tapered Brush, which is a wonderful highlighting brush, by the way. And I'm just going to put it right on the very tip top of that porcelain pink. So that way, little piece of fallout. That way it's not going to be overwhelming. Obviously, I'm going to kind of blend it again with that complexion brush to kind of soften it, but it actually helps kind of emphasize a little bit with that porcelain pink. Porcelain pink is gorgeous, but I feel like it's not very pigmented, so I have to grab a ton of product to even have it show up on my skin, and I'm pretty pale, so okay. So as you can see, it's kind of glowy, a little subtle, very fun, flirty, you know, whatevs for fall. And for the lips, I haven't really decided yet what I'm going to use. So, give me a second and I will be right back. That's something I'm going to have to think very hard about. Okay, so I lie. I didn't have to think very hard about it. I thought I would, but I didn't have to, which is nice, I guess. I decided to go ahead and go with the e.l.f. It's a new shade of the Moisturizing lipstick. This is in the shade Southern Belle. It's pink. So I'm going to grab some of that. And I'm just going to use it as liner as well. Sorry, this is taking a second. I'm using a very tiny lip brush here. If I would just get to washing all of my brushes, this would be a lot easier for me. Okay, well guys, that is the finished look here. It's pretty simple, in fact. It looks a lot harder than what it is, honestly. I don't know, I would say it may not be like beginner, but if it's something that you like, you know, maybe like bold purples, and you have the Vintage Romance palette, which everyone kind of needs to try that. It's one of my personal favorites, and I've got 15 of their eyeshadow palettes. Vintage Romance, Garden of Eden as well are like my top 2 of these sleek palettes. They are just beautiful. Absolutely love them. And I kind of feel like this is kind of, I don't know, flirty and fun for fall. When I think of fall, I usually think of like browns, coppers, golds, bronze, reds, oranges, and yellows. But there's just something romantic about deep plums and purples and berries in fall. And why not add silver? You know, like it's just kind of meh, why not? Your face is your canvas. Do whatever you want with it. So, yeah, again, this is the look. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, you guys know how to reach me. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next video.